It is said that when Satan wanted to choose his greatest weapon, he took up perfectionism, something that can be used to revolve a person around himself in his entire life, in such a way that he becomes desperate, depressed, and full of disappointment. You have seen some of these people who you ask what is your biggest flaw, prick their lips, and say with drunken eyes that I am a perfectionist. It has become such that today everyone is proud to be suffering from the disease of perfectionism. But I promise you that if they know a little bit of it, they will change their minds. Hello, my friends. Have a good day and night. I wish you a good heart and a beautiful life. I'm Lena, and together we will travel to the inner world and walk the path of awareness. Be sure to subscribe and hit the bell to be notified of my latest videos. Thank you so much for supporting me and cheering me up with your kind heart. Today we are going to go to the most dangerous disease of the century, which is perfectionism. That is something that may not seem so scary, but it is the root of many mental illnesses. And well, you can't believe it, even our physical illnesses. And let's answer these questions together. Why is perfectionism so attractive? Why do we easily fall into perfectionism, but it is so hard to separate from it? What does perfectionism do to us? And finally, which is the most important point, how to defeat this mental illness? This video is a summary of the highlights of the book How Not to Be a Perfectionist by Stephen Guise. Now the first question, why is perfectionism so attractive and of course dangerous? The answer is, perfectionism gives us the illusion that we feel valued for it. That is, if we feel that everything is according to our intentions and is at its best, then we really feel valued. But one question arises here. When are we at our best? It can be said that only 1% of the time we are in a state of perfection. And what does this mean? This means that we will only feel valued 1% of the time in our entire lives. You see, this is the same snake that easily traps you with its beauty and with its paralyzing venom. It begins to eat your thoughts. Perfectionism is fascinating because human beings are always striving to get better, and they confuse this getting better with perfectionism. It is interesting to know that the root of 90% of social anxiety and lack of self-confidence comes from this case, because it does not allow you to see yourself as beautiful, valuable, respectful, and self-respectful for no reason. You keep saying that I have to achieve an achievement so that I can be more valuable then. Now, the next question is, why is it so hard to control when we are faced with it? First of all, let's say that we are not going to kill perfectionism within ourselves or silence it forever. If you look at it from this point of view, you will regret it later, because it is like a curse that has nested in you and is not going anywhere. You just have to fight it until it doesn't have a chance to act. Now, why am I saying that he is not going to go? Because I was talking to some friends when I was talking about perfectionism. They said that I defeated perfectionism for 5 years and I didn't have any problems, but recently, because I broke up with my wife, this problem has come back again. Or because of the loss of a loved one, he starts blaming you again, which, yes, if you were kinder to that person, it would have been like this. It would have been like this, and it keeps you engaged in this way that it deprives you of the opportunity to think correctly and principled. So it's not going to go away. It just has to be suppressed, especially when we're more mentally and emotionally fragile. It may come up to start self-destructive and blame. Now, why is it so hard to control? Outside of the internal discussion, which we will discuss later, there is an external discussion which strengthens up to 70% of the perfectionism within us. Yes, these external conditions of ours and society are always trying to lead us to perfection and excellence. Open a social media like Instagram for a minute. Who is the one who puts an ugly photo of himself? Girls take videos with 1,000 kinds of makeup and filters, and boys take pictures in such a way that all of them seem to have jaw angles and six-packs, and they have a cool physique. Everyone is talking about their foreign trips, extravagance, love, and mood. But what about in reality? Maybe 1% of what you see in this case is real. But what do? We say, for example, that this is what a beautiful girl looks like, and my partner and wife, who sits next to me without thousands of makeup, is not beautiful. Or girls who know the man of life only by his athletic body or jaw angle. Look at the cosmetics companies or the companies that sell slimming pills. What do? It's so simple. They just strengthen your perfectionism. They make you feel inadequate. They tell you that you are ugly, which of course they do not tell you directly, but they behave in such a way that you tell your subconscious that they are not irrelevant. They are right. I need this pill, and they sell their products so easily by giving you a feeling of inadequacy. One of the factors that strengthens our sense of perfectionism is these comparisons. Comparisons that are really unfair because you are comparing the inside of your life with the appearance of other people's lives. So it is clear that it should not be easy to control. Now, the next question in this video: what does perfectionism do to us? Stephen Guise explains this with 3 main features: insecurity, low self-esteem, and dissatisfaction. The name of perfectionism is on it. That is, you seek to be perfect, not to be better. And when something is perfected is when its flaws gets taken. Do you understand what happened? In other words, the concept of self-perfectionism means looking for faults. It means negativity. It means that our subconscious sends us the message that you are not valuable and that you have a flaw. So the root of this concept is that it has a concept frightening negativity in itself. You are not looking for progress in perfectionism, but you are looking for your flaws. And the bad news is that we have infinite flaws, and you can involve yourself for years for each of these. Stephen Guy says, insecurity and self-doubt make you extremely sensitive to your mistakes. Now that we have almost understood what the root of perfectionism is, let's start confronting it and answer the last question. How to silence this destructive thought? Stephen Guy says in his book, the enemy of perfectionism is normalism and sub-habits. And in order to start normalism, we must first understand the mentality of this kind of thinking. So let's get some help from philosophers. In the first place, it is very important to understand that we are not the center of the universe. We are all different and each of us is special, but this difference does not mean that because we are different, we must be superior. You know, a lot of times because we feel that we have to be different and great, we put the idea of perfectionism in our minds because perfectionism means, for example, being the best. And the bad news is that everyone thinks that way. They think they're the center of the universe and chosen, so we have to put these two thoughts aside. Stoics always said that we can reach our true potential when we are ourselves. Not by trying to justify ourselves in this way, by trying to make ourselves look strong. The next thing that the Stoics point out again is the illusion of complete control over life. Epictetus, one of the great philosophers, said, we will eventually be able to control 30 to 40% of the events in our lives. But perfectionists want to control 100% of their lives. It is something that we know very, very impossible. The Stoics say, instead of spend your focus from a few things that you don't know you can control, work on the 30 to 40% that you know you can control. The next thing that philosophers address is something that all perfectionists are most likely involved in, and that is that instead of fighting with our own imperfections, we should accept them. Nietzsche said, perfectionism is precisely the enemy of self-knowledge because it does not allow your true self to be revealed. You always have a mask on your face that deceives even yourself. Stephen Guy says that we need to understand that we have flaws and that we are never going to make up for them all. So instead of trying to turn something we don't have talent into from weak to normal, it's better to work on our talents and passions to take them from good to great. Of course, I should say in parentheses that the family plays a very, very important role in creating the perfectionism of children, which we do not want to talk about here. Interestingly, even perfectionism causes us to have a different definition of success, a definition that always requires an impossible level. In general, perfection means achieving the impossible, but what are the real successes in the long run? In terms of psychology, success is more about learning and personal growth than reaching a conclusion at a certain point. Research shows that people who think about gradual progress instead of focusing on perfection are more successful in the long run and have more satisfaction with life. This is the concept of sub-habits. What makes perfectionism weaken within you? Now why? Because perfectionism always thinks about the goal and the end result, but in the sub-habits, The result is not important, only the things that need to be done. Essentially, Stephen Guise uses a technique called expectation minimization. Habits and small things reduce our expectations, and you no longer sit and you don't dream. Speaking of dreaming, it is also very important to know that overdreaming and talking about your own plans can be a sign of perfectionism, because perfectionism has come to prevent you from doing anything and only allows you to talk about it. Whenever you see that you are becoming more and more passive instead of being pragmatic, know that you are being dominated. So instead of trying to do great things, start with slow but steady steps. Stop these dreams that these deceitful people say, who say think big, start big. How can an elephant be eaten? In the words of Lao Tzu, long roads will be traveled with the first step. The next step to silence this mental illness is to fight and face it. One of the dirty tricks that perfectionism uses is that it scares you of failure, which openly doesn't let you do anything anymore and paralyzes you. When you see that you have a feeling of fear of failure or ridicule, know that it is his own business. And I have a suggestion here: be stubborn with it. Wherever you feel that perfectionism is scaring you, be stubborn and do it. This same feeling of violation and seeing that nothing is perfect weakens perfectionism. My friends, remember that our greatest joys are often intertwined with our deepest sorrows. I hope this part has helped your life a little. Please share your thoughts. You are invited to grow. Just remember, every great journey begins with a small step. Thank you for being with me on this journey today. If you liked the video, like the video and follow our videos. Stay tuned for my new videos, and finally, hello, and the light of God's kindness shines brighter than ever.